Hello, hello. We are here live. And Tony, is that correct? And Bruce, welcome. It looked like we have about 17 people signed up here. So we'll wait a little bit, but if you guys want to show your face or go. Super. Welcome everyone. We're doing an anger management class, and this is really going to be geared around the mindset of something called faster EFT. And so it has three different really powerful components, which are NLP, neuro linguistic programming, hypnosis. And I want to just address hypnosis. Hypnosis is anytime you're not thinking of something present. So if you think about a time when you slipped and fell down, you're going to kind of feel that physiological pain. And if you think of a time you climbed to the top of a mountain and we're like, yes, you're going to feel that physiological. That is, we're still present, but we can change our feelings based on that, which is called hypnosis, which our thoughts are. And then the third is tapping. And so we use a form of interruption called tapping. We tap here, 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 and here. And some people are comfortable with it and love it. Some people aren't, and that's fine. The point is we want to interrupt patterns that we don't want to continue in our life. Does that make sense? Interrupt the pattern. So when I or my husband would get angry, I would sit there and start to question it and be like, what did I do wrong? Well, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to? And I was exasperating myself in my own head by trying to figure out anger, or like what made me blow up, or what, how could he do this, or the blame. And so all of those things, if we interrupt it, we're going to feel better faster. We're going to recover faster. And is that a strange concept to you? We got two head scratchers. Like, so, and you know what? My program was a lot of sadness. Oh, Brian, you're muted.
Oh,
there.
sorry. I was gonna say the boiling, like interrupting that boiling, because that fuse is short and you're boiling up and then you just explode. And I guess what you're saying is if you interrupt it before the explosion, it could be a good
It feels like the opposite of what we think is going to work. We think like, I need to think about it and I got to figure it out. And I got to, and we ramp ourselves up, interrupt, interrupt, interrupt. And so what we're going to give you tonight is really like what to do once you interrupt it. And then some techniques to interrupt it too. So I was just working with a lady and she was like, oh, I really can't, like nothing is interrupting this. And I'm like, get up and skip. Like there's no reason that we can't do for ourselves something that's going to change it. How could you be angry when you're skipping around? It's not going to last very long. Like eventually you're like, it's bringing back good childhood memories, right? So we all want to find those things that help us interrupt. Maybe you have this really peaceful song that you feel really good listening to. Maybe you want to see a video with the ocean on it. So that helps you feel good. But each person is different. Like I love dogs and I love horses. Like if all I have to do is think of smelling a horse and I feel good, but you might be like, that's disgusting. So we want you to have a toolbox of things that work to help you, because that's really what it's all about. When you're calm and peaceful, you'll be in control, and then you'll be feeling better, right? And your relationships and everything else will change. Awesome. Good question and good point. I love that. All right. So this is our anger management class. And I just got a couple slides to share to just make sure that I cover everything, because the secret to your anger problem is what we really want to share with you. So we're going to talk a little bit about how anger works in your mind, how we hold anger because of memories, sensations, feelings, and thoughts. And I want you to know that your feelings are a memory. Your feelings are a memory. So it's not just like visualization, like, oh, I remember because I saw her or him do this or that. It's also a feeling. That's a memory, and your body will replay that memory feeling for you. How you can change your mind, the 4 steps to take home to do it yourself, understanding how your emotion is created by your memories and how it was organized in your head. So our belief is before we were 7, we were programmed. And now those programs that we practiced go on repeat. And it seems like we can add more and more power to them the more we practice them. So what do you think happens when we are angry, and then maybe we're angry once a week, and then we're angry twice a week, and then we're angry 5 times a week? What do you think is happening inside of our brain?
Roads are
Anybody have
being
any
built.
ideas? What was that?
Roads are being woven in your brain. You got neuroplasticity, things are clicking together, getting deeper grooves, making it faster and quicker to get angry because the brain loves to recycle.
The brain loves to recycle. And pretty soon you're feeling out of control. You're like, I'm angry all the time. And the people that live with you are like, I can't be around this person. They're angry about everything. Or maybe you remember when you were a kid and your parents were angry all the time. And so this is how the brain works. It's made to love patterns so that it can be very efficient for you. If it didn't love patterns, you wouldn't be able to tie your shoe, drive a car, talk, walk, go to the bathroom. You would have to relearn it every day. So emotions are the same way. Is that helpful to anyone?
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. Because we want to challenge your thinking about anger and really open up something that's so powerful within you that you never view it the same way again. That's my goal. All right. So, you can get angry. You can't get angry in this class. That's what we put. You cannot get angry in this class. You have to laugh instead. No, just kidding. But we are just going to, ask you to mute yourself and have your pen and paper, but for sure feel comfortable and free to raise your hand, because we would rather have it be an interactive experience. We want you to experience inner peace. So where do you think inner peace comes from? Anyone? Inside. Inner peace is an inside job. And I used to think that anger and sadness came from outside me and that it was everybody else's fault. And when I learned that what I'm doing inside of my mind, what I'm doing inside of my thoughts and are inside of me, then I had more power over them. So if you held only peaceful memories, if that's all you could have, if that's all you ever had in your whole life, like it's really hard to imagine, but if all you had was peaceful memories, you would be thinking peaceful thoughts and you would be in peace. You'd only have inner peace. So there would be no other program to reach back and get, for your brain to reach back and say, oh, I know what to do in this situation. I should get angry. Well, no, because you don't have any anger in there. You only have inner peace. And so that's a very powerful thing. One of the greatest things that I ever remember learning is that everything inside me is me. Okay. And I was like, no, it's not. Like there's trees and there's this and that. But what we want to know is, what we're really talking about is memories. So when you have a memory of your parents getting angry, maybe you have abuse in your background, maybe you have trauma, you have these things going on in your memories, but those people are no longer and were never in your head. This blew my mind. I was like, wait a second, they're not in my head, but that really happened. Well, yes, it did really happen. But now, whatever images, sounds, tastes, smells, feelings, sensations are in your head as you replay memories from your past, you are the movie director, the actor, the characters, the victim, and the perpetrator, because nobody else can fit inside your mind. So if we can change and update those things going on in our memories, would we react differently? Yeah. If that abusive memory, if that trauma, if that situation where your parents are angry at you, if that time that you felt shameful, if that time that you were angry at somebody and you knew that you were in the wrong, if that was gone, like if it wasn't held in your head as a powerful emotional place for your brain to reuse on you, would you act differently? Definitely. These memories are very powerful. They direct our life for 95% of us. For 95% of the time, your memories are directing your life. You're brushing your teeth and you're not thinking about it. You're driving a car, you're not thinking about it. Those are your memories that are running in the background to let you know how to do it. The only time that something changes is if we interrupt it, right? Like when a car pulls out in front of you, then you're like awake. You're like, oh, I better wake up and watch what I'm doing, right? Because your subconscious is just running it for you based on memories. But then when we interrupt it, we all of a sudden wake up and we're like, ooh, pay attention. You got to be conscious. That's what we call it. Be conscious. So if you have inner peace, how would that affect your life? We want to find that inner peace. So are you ready to do that? How, where do you feel peaceful? So the first question that I want you to start, if you're taking pen, if you have a pen and paper, the first question I want you to ask yourself is where do I feel inner peace? And so I want you to think of a place most likely in nature, because sometimes we can't find that with a person. When I started this, I couldn't find that with a person. I didn't have any happy memories. I didn't have any good resources to go to because I was just full of anxiety and fear. So if they ask me where, then I could be like, oh, in my woods, I'm peaceful, or when I'm sitting at a lake, or when I'm at the ocean. And so we want you to know where for you helps you feel peaceful.
And this is something you guys can write down now, and that way you can start jotting that down. Maybe tonight's homework is you find 5 places where you feel most peaceful. You know, if it's in your backyard, you know, trimming, or, you know, cutting wood, or going to Jersey Shores. Is that a thing over there?
There's some beautiful places along there.
It makes me feel unpeaceful over there.
Oh, okay. Don't do that then.
The Jersey Shore.
Oh.
Yeah, see, and this is how resources work. So we would think it's peaceful because we haven't had any bad experiences there. So it's really important for you to find this for yourself. It will dramatically change your life. Where it is for you is what you're going to build on. And then ask, what helps me feel peaceful? So I'm an animal lover, horses, dogs, cats, pigs, fish, I don't know, anything. They help me feel peaceful. But for you, you might be like, yuck, they stink. So what helps you feel peaceful?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Well, what about time management? What if whatever these places are that make you feel peaceful, you just don't have the time to do it?
I'm just asking you to know those places.
Okay.
Because when we think about something, so let's pretend, I don't know if you guys have grandchildren or not, but if anyone has a grandchild, like all you have to do is think of their little face and you get this good feeling. That's what I want you to have. I want you to have a list of 5 things where all you have to do is think about that place, and you're going to start to calm down, because what you're thinking about becomes your physiology. If I'm thinking about, you know, my abusive husband that was pulling me around and hitting me, how am I going to feel? Right? But if I'm thinking like, oh, I was out riding horse and the sun was on me and I could feel the breeze and it was the most beautiful view, now I'm going to automatically. So rather than try to be peaceful, I use my memory to do it for me. Okay. So you don't have to go there, only have to go there in your mind. So it can take 2 seconds and you can be like, oh yeah, I'm right back to peaceful. Or it might take 10 minutes depending on, you know, but you're going to learn this about yourself.
And you're learning it now before you need it. So right now you're just gaining resources. You're getting your resources on how to build this peaceful place, which is, you know, those 5. Could be the kids when they're asleep. You know, when they're asleep, aren't they the most peaceful? And you love them so much. They're angels. They're asleep, and you're like, oh, the beauty. Like, that's fun. Find fun resources.
It could be a puppy, like something very innocent. It could be a flower. It could be the smell of something. Like, I really want you to access all the different senses, because our genius comes when we have all those senses working together. So when I think about happy memories, so I'll just tell you, my happiest memory is I was in Baja and we went on this little tour, which we ended up being late for. And we went on this little tour. And so they just took us out into the boat in the ocean because it was just me and my husband, because we were late. And so we're out in the ocean, and this is where we do whale watching. And so a whale comes right up to our boat, and I could feel it like rubbing on the bottom of the boat. And then I looked over and I saw her eye there, and she had barnacles on her. And then I reached out and I was touching her, and it was like cool and rubbery and wet, and the sun was out and the ocean was waving really, really gently. And so and then I could smell when her air hole opened and closed, and I could hear it like, and then I could smell it smell like fish, like kind of fishy. And if I have all of my senses thinking about that, how I am so peaceful, because that was one of my favorite times in my life. So I really practiced that memory. I practice that one more than anything, because I'm a little bit ADHD. And so I just need one memory to practice. But there was a time when that memory didn't even feel good. And so I've changed it to feel so good. It really is such a beautiful, amazing thing. And so we want you to have that kind of sensation around your peaceful memory. So what makes you feel peaceful can be the smell, the feeling on your skin, the sound, the inner sensation. Like, what does peace feel like? Like when everything kind of sinks and slows down inside of you, what is that sensation? And that's what we're going to practice. Okay. When we practice thinking, oh, next time they say this, I'm going to say that. And ooh, when I see them, do you know, I'm not the only one that does that, right? How dare they say that to me? I'm going to text them. I'm going to email. I'm going to go call them. I'm not even going to see them next time they call me. I'm going to ignore them. So what are these thoughts creating? Do you think I'm going to get angry when I see them? Of course.
You're getting more angry. You're building.
Exactly. Interrupt that. That's going to feel weird to interrupt it. You're going to be like, but how am I going to protect myself? You don't need to protect yourself. You're not like in front of a vehicle that's going to smash you. You just need to relax and get calm. And that's going to protect you more, because you'll be thinking. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But your prefrontal cortex is your thinking part of your brain. And when you are super emotional like that, it shuts off. That's why we punch people, kick people, swear at people, hurt people. And we're like, why did I do that? That part of our brain just shuts off. We need to calm it down so that we can think clearly and make really good decisions. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So what makes you feel peaceful? And then how do you feel peaceful? So everybody close your eyes right now. Where do you feel that inside your body? Peaceful. The sensation of like calm, maybe it feels like water, like just a gentle hug. I'm not sure, but really access how. How do you do it inside of yourself? Your heart slows down. Your stomach becomes relaxed. Your muscles are tenderized. Just really notice how do I do that inside? Because that's inner peace. And when you know how to do that, you just say, oh, I just need to do this. I'll never forget. I had a session, and the person asked me, well, how do you feel sad? Like, what do you do inside yourself when you feel sad? And this whole time I had thought sadness would come over me like a big dark cloud, and I couldn't control it. And it was out there, coming over me, taking me over. And she said, well, just tell me, like, if I were going to be sad like you, what would I need to do? And I said, oh, it was this huge light bulb. Just have a lump in your throat. That doesn't make any sense. That's not sadness. I was so confused by myself. but that was the inner sensation, a lump in my throat. So when you think about inner peace, think about it like that. What am I doing inside? If I had to tell someone else how to be peaceful, what would I tell them to do? And that's peace to you. Someone else, when they're sad, they tell me, it feels like my heart's getting really, really big, like it's going to explode. Or some people say, I just feel like I'm all like my inside is just shriveling up. For me, it was a lump in my throat. When you know that about yourself, you'll know how to do inner peace. Is that hard to access? Jeff?
Who is it hard? Who's experiencing like, nah, that's bullshit. I don't know what you're talking about, Tammy. and when that happens, it's just a part of us. It's a part of us that, our brain, we have a survival part of our brain. And that's just the survival part that's saying, no, I got to be in control. No, I got to do it this way for safety mechanisms. That's why interrupting that is the key. Interrupting it with inner peace. I had to do it physically. I had to do jumping jacks. I had to do squats because I was not able to access it like maybe the way Tammy could do it. I had to break the trance or break that with like literal physical exercises. I would do like 20 squats, 1, 2, 3, until it dissipated. So try that one as well.
Yeah. And Jeff, are you having a hard time having the inner sensation of peace, or like you can't explain it or describe it?
No, I was just having a tough time following that. So
Okay.
I think I'm a little slow.
No, you're not slow. It's just unaware.
Yeah.
Right? Like I seriously, if someone said, you're so sad, and I would feel like it was outside. And then when somebody asked it this way, they said, well, how would you give it to me? How would you tell me to be sad like you? Like from your inner sensations, what would I have to do? So I felt like that. And then I noticed my lump in my throat. Now I had known it was there, I guess, my whole life, because I would have a hard time swallowing when my tears would well up and I would feel sad. I would be like, I can't swallow, but I didn't think about that is how my body felt sad. That was the definition for my body. But start to notice it when you're feeling really calm, when maybe it's, whether it's the music you're listening to or the place, if you're thinking about that place of where you feel peaceful, how you feel peaceful, think like, what is this like inside me right now? And you'll start to become really aware of that.
Yeah. I think the other thing, if Tammy was to ask you, how do you create anger? Like, how do you know you're about to do what? And people will say, boil up or blow up, or, I feel the heat from my ankles rising. Like, you guys know, because you have experience with that, you know how to do anger. You know how that feels and where it comes from and where the sensations are. So you're good with that. Now you're just going to redirect your brain. Go ahead, Brian.
I said we're pros at it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So
it's
peace
just
is going to feel weird, is
right.
what Rita's saying. Yeah.
Right. This is your kindergarten step. This is the baby steps. This is first grade. This is A. This is B. This is C. You're going to learn how to develop that part of your brain. And you have to be extra gentle and extra nice to yourselves. You really have to be gentle and nice, because there's another part of us that, we should know it. What's wrong with us? I'm slow. I'm this, I'm that. No, you just need to let it grow and build. It's a learning process. It's learning. We're all learning. We're always learning. We're learning something. So just know that this is the class and this is learning. Because when you're learning, you can make mistakes. You're not going to get it perfect. Things you're going to mess up, guys. We're going to mess up. We know that. And it's okay. You just catch it the next time. Yep.
That is perfect. We used to be non-walkers, right? And then we saw two people stand up on 2 feet and walk around. We were like, I want to do that. And we finally had enough courage to get that cookie or that toy and try walking. And we fell down. We walk and fell down, walk and fell down. Pretty soon we became walkers. And so pretty soon you can build your own inner peace and be determined for the goal, not for what you did wrong. So be focused, be determined to look at the goal, the end goal, and not the failures, not the parts that when you fall down. Because beating ourselves up makes us angry. It really does. It comes out sideways.
That's a great metaphor. That's a metaphor. It goes out sideways.
It does. So yeah, literally you can feel it, right? But right, so think about the one time I was getting angry and somebody said, just close your eyes and feel, what does this anger feel like you? Because I always thought, you can get red in the face and you can feel the heat and stuff. But what it felt like was like these bubbles coming up. And I was like, oh, interesting. That literally is my same feeling I feel when I'm really excited. And I reacted differently to my daughter because I wasn't thinking about, I need to make her do this and I got to force this and what's wrong with her and how come she doesn't know this yet. I was thinking about what's going on inside of me. And just being curious can change your anger. Because curious is an anger. Curious is a different program inside your brain than anger. So we're doing it differently. We're not trying to stop it. We're doing it differently. Does that feel like more to you? Or is it just me having fun?
For me, you were mentioning thinking about something that makes you happy, and I kind of have trouble with that when I'm angry. I've noticed what you said with concentrating on what you're physically feeling helps me because it takes me out of the moment. Like I'm only angry if I'm thinking about how it affects my past or my future sort of thing. So whenever I get into the present, I'm not able to stay angry. If I can't do that, I try to focus on my breathing.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's a great point. And this is where Greg figured out what's working for him. And that's really powerful. And that's what you're going to, it's kind of like you're experimenting with yourself and you're going to go, oh, that didn't work. And that does work. And ooh, I better practice this more. And so the happy place. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say I took a meditation course and I kind of didn't get how kind of sitting down and meditating would help. But then when I was tempted to have a reaction or react poorly to something, it was a lot easier to just focus on my breathing because I'd been practicing that, like sitting down and practicing, like clearing away my thoughts and just counting my breaths. So it kind of came more naturally when things were boiling over to be able to stop and just they had taught me to go like in breath 1, out breath 1, in breath 2, up to 5, and then repeat. I found that helpful for me because I just have a lot of trouble moving to a different thought when
Yes.
something that's making me angry is pervading my mind, so to say.
Excellent. Because
No, is that Tammy? I'm sorry. Is that because everybody, that's like the common thing that you hear is when you're getting angry is, oh, take a deep breath.
right.
Is that considered like interrupter where you
Yes.
take a second, take a deep breath, and
It can work for people. And some people find
Well,
it doesn't work,
For
but
me,
it's a
like if
total
you're
interrupter.
really concentrating on the breath.
Yep.
For
Yep.
me, it was like if you're concentrating on the breath, like the point is don't think about anything but the breath sort of thing. So if you're not focused on what gets you angry, that helps. And then
Yes.
for me, like I had to meditate like 20 or 30 minutes kind of outside of when I'm angry for that to work for like a month or so. So
Yep.
it was kind of like practicing the different habits because like by the time I was angry without practicing it, it was too late. Like I had to practice it for a while before to kind of go to the breathing. But
Right.
kind of have to shut off the other thoughts by just focusing on the breathing, at least for me.
Yep. It's turning your attention to something else. And we get better at it the more we practice it. And that's why we said, you know, it's like swimming lessons. You want to know how to swim before you're drowning. And so we're going to have instances that make us angry. But if we have these tools and we can go, oh, I'm starting to feel this, you know, what does it feel like to be angry? That's a good thing for you to know. What does it feel like to be angry? And then when you start to feel it, like when I start to feel those bubbles coming up and go, oh, I need to think about that. You just think, just getting curious with like, wow, that feels like bubbles. That was so weird. It totally interrupted me. Or getting curious with something else, or counting. Like, so some people will count 4 breaths in and 4 breaths out, 4 breaths in and 4 breaths out. And that's called square breathing. And, or 4 breaths in, hold, 4 breaths out, hold, 4 breaths in, hold, 4 breaths out, hold. And it's just changing what you're focusing on. That's really it. And then you can gather yourself together and start to feel peaceful again. And Greg, I had a horrible time finding any happy memories because I was just an anxious mess. And so every time I would think of a memory, I'd be like, oh, that was terrible because then this happened. And, you know, so I would have these good moments in my life, but from recollection, I was in such an anxiety right now in the present moment that when I looked back at them, everything was anxious. So we change our memories by what our present emotional state is.
Yeah, I found for me, without practicing, like let's say I'm angry and I try to tell myself, don't be angry. I'll get angry at myself for like the injustice of why are you cutting off this feeling for me, sort of thing. So yeah, it was the whole practicing mindfulness beforehand really helped. So like it
Yep.
kind of allowed me to trust that process of cutting myself off a little more.
Yes. And your brain is wiring, your brain is creating a pathway, just like if you're on a blacktop road compared to a farm road. Like the one you travel more is going to be easier to go to. So if you're traveling more into mindfulness and peacefulness, your brain will automatically do that for you. If you're traveling more into anger, your brain will do that for you. If you're traveling more into sadness, it's going to give you back what you've been practicing. And that's really the power of understanding this. And so practicing feeling good, whatever that is, the ocean sounds, the babies, the animals, the nature, the sunset, the sunrise, whatever it is for you, practicing that and getting peaceful will help you access that. And anything else, just have a skill that works for interrupting. Like sometimes I do really weird things. I remember for a while, because I just couldn't get out of this one state and it was feeling sorry for myself all the time. And I would pant like a dog. Like this is a breathing technique. And you're just like, but I was like, I can't get myself out of it. But it made me it gave me a different sensation in my body. And it was kind of funny. And if someone else was there, like one of my family members, they're like they couldn't quit. They couldn't help but laugh at me. So it just changed the focus really and made it different. I would rather laugh than get angry personally.
And that's another good defrag is laughter. Fake laughter is what we call it. So you can literally get on your phone and pretend you are laughing your head off at this funniest joke. And eventually that shifts the physiology of your body. So the anger dissipates and now you've redirected your brain to something else. So laughing, panting like a dog, box breathing, finding those good resources, jumping jacks, sit-ups, those 5 resources, if you practice those in the heat of the moment, that's what we call it, the heat of the moment, and create peace when it's not the heat of the moment. So the heat
Yep.
of the moment is, you know what that is, right, guys? Everybody knows the heat of the moment.
And also, what are you practicing right before you go to sleep? What are you practicing while you're eating? What are you practicing while you're driving a car? If you're thinking about the things that are going to make you angry, interrupt that. You don't have to wait until you're angry. Interrupt it while you're just walking on the road and somebody, does something that could make you mad, or interrupt it while you're just thinking of that conversation with somebody that you're angry at, or having to make that phone call, or maybe it's Easter or Thanksgiving or Christmas and like, oh, I'm going to have those people there. Interrupt that thought.
Yep. Very good.
Don't let it get a grip on you.
So right now I'm doing delivery, and I'm delivering in a place I don't normally do so. And so I just drove to the wrong place because apparently there's a fourth line and something else called Euro fourth line. And I asked about that before leaving to the manager. She said, no, there's only one, it's fine. So right now I'm practicing, like, don't concentrate on, what it cost me, etc. Just kind of, it's okay, it's done now. And,
Yes.
I'm doing that 5 deep breath thing before I go in there to just say, next time there's a new guy, it'd probably be good for them to know that there's 2 fourth lines, not just one.
Yeah.
They're about 20 minutes apart. But speaking of which, I'm gonna have to go mute for a bit here.
Okay, that's fine, Greg. Thanks for showing up and sharing that with us. And also know that when we start something new.
Right now.
Oh, you broke up a little bit. When we start something new, we're going to fail. That's the joy of learning. Right?
Yeah.
We can't remain in the same, do the same thing every single day and learn, because we already know how to do that. But when we're doing something new, we're going to fail. And that's where we can give ourselves a little bit of slack and say, oh, wow, that's interesting. You're learning this. And the whole point for Greg here is to interrupt it and then direct his brain to something peaceful. And one thing I really want to say is gratefulness, guys. Gratefulness is the same vibration as abundance. So if he's getting upset and he's like, those guys told me wrong, and he's starting to have these ruminations, this conversation that you could get angry, right? Like, they're wasting my time. I'm out of money. Okay, you interrupt. So he's going to use his breathing. But then he can say, oh man, I'm really grateful that I can see. I'm so grateful that I have legs. I'm so grateful I can drive a car. There are people in the world that can't do that. And so we can start to notice, what are we grateful about? And that will redirect us to peacefulness and to a whole different level of thinking. Good. Any questions about that? Is that good? Is it helpful? Are you feeling like you can have some skills for yourself? Empower yourself? Yeah. Okay, good. Let's see what else is on here. So how do I feel peaceful? Get that written down. We really want you to know that for yourself. And what can I do to feel more peace? What can I do to feel more peace? You can create that for yourself when you know, what is it? Do I need to be listening to the sound of an ocean? Do I need to listen to flutes or violins? Do I need to smell, a forest? Maybe you like the smell of a forest, or you like the smell of fresh grass. Is there an essential oil? Is there some kind of candle that you can get that helps you feel peaceful? What do I need to see? Is there a picture that brings up an instant feeling of, oh, I'm so glad I get to look at that person or that animal or whatever. And grab something that makes you laugh. There's a baby laughing that breaks my pattern really well, because how do you not laugh when a baby's laughing? Or maybe it's a funny show that you like watching. Have that on your phone so you can quickly interrupt yourself by watching something funny. And then that will grow as you practice it. Inner peace is as the oxygen in an airplane. Put it on first and practice it before you need to use it. Because that's just how your brain works. And we want you to work with your brain. If there's a pathway going to peace, we're just calling it a peace program. If you have a peace program and you know how to access it, then you get an option to do that. You get a choice. And that right there is going to feel good. There's a choice to do it. And you get to be responsible for feeling peaceful. If I felt ugly and everyone thought I was beautiful, I still wouldn't be beautiful to myself. And if I felt beautiful and everyone thought I was ugly, I would be beautiful to myself. Right? It's really what we think about ourselves that matters. We get to be more empowered to be controlling our own patterns and programs when we pay attention to that inner peace, and we get to choose. So that might be a good place. What does the time look like here? All right, so we have about 10 or 15 more minutes. Did anybody want to bring up anything, any questions? Do you want to work specifically on finding some peace for yourself? Are you like, man, I can't even think of one thing?
I have a comment about that. I might be wrong, but when you ask that question, how, find 5 things that helps me feel peaceful. I kind of had some trouble with that. A smell, like I have, like the essential oils you were talking about, kind of helps me relax.
Yep.
But I think that some people, struggle knowing what it is that makes them feel peaceful. One of the first things that crossed my mind was being with my family. But then I took a step back and I said to myself, no, that's not, and I love my family. That's not what makes me feel peaceful.
They're a trigger.
It's not you, sweetheart. It's not you. It's him.
So, I started thinking about other things. You mentioned flowers. I do like gardening. The beach makes me feel peaceful, maybe fishing. But I think that it is a challenging question for me, at least, because I think I really don't know what makes me feel peaceful. I find peace within myself, throughout the day. But I think that's a question that everybody should really think about and really think about it. What is it that makes us feel at peace? Whether it's a smell, what's like you said, looking at a picture, a picture of the ocean or what have you. But I think that a lot of people, perhaps including myself, don't really know what it is that puts them at ease, because they never really thought about it.
Yes, and it's been a long time since you felt it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm relatively. I think I am, but I just noticed in the past few months, raising a teenage girl could shorten your fuses, and it's just bringing me back to when I was her age, that I had a really short fuse.
Yeah.
And so
And
just
that's
I
the
wanted to bring
power
that to
of
light.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. And we know that this is going to take practice because you've been practicing this. I mean, we're all over 30, right? Not me.
Not Symphony.
Not her.
Not Symphony.
Okay.
But, we're all old. We've been practicing something for a long time. What do you think happens to people when they practice something? It becomes their personality.
Right.
So to get a peaceful personality, you've got to go against the grain of what you've been practicing for 30, 40, 50 years. And
Right.
and the truth is there's so much power in those memories that we have. And we didn't really get to cover that tonight, but we want to give you a skill to just start working, just start experiencing. I don't want to even say work. I want you to experience peace, because if you have to work at it, it's not peace.
Right.
Because if you have to work at it, it's not what? I'm sorry?
It's not peace.
Oh, peace. Okay.
If you have to work at it, it's not peace. I want you to experience peace by knowing, how does it feel? Where do I feel it? What does it feel like? And just sit with that. And, every question to the universe is answered. It might take time, but ask that question and find out for yourself, because it will give you life.
Robert,
And
did you
it
have a
does take
question?
time. I didn't have any happiness, I promise. Like, people are like, what? You're the happiest person I know. Nothing goes wrong in your life. If I told you my story, you'd be like, I can't believe she's been through all of that and all of that horror. Because now I practice happiness, but I couldn't try to be happy, because that was creating a try program, which was no fun and it was a lot of work. I had to be happy and figure out, what are those things that make me happy, make me feel happy, and then do that.
Can I add something here? I'm sorry, I'm outside, so you
No.
might be able to see me, but this is, I don't even know if it's going to make sense, but there's, let's call it a proverb. So there's a monk walking up a mountain. He's doing his trek. He's walking up the mountain on the trail. And there's some other guy on a horse, and he's just steamrolling down the mountain. And this guy's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he has to jump off the trail, and he turns around, he dusts himself off, and he goes, hey, where the hell are you going? And he goes, I don't know. Ask the horse. Because obviously he's out of control, and he was riding a horse, and the horse was controlling where he's going. I don't know if that relates to this,
Yeah.
but I think it has to do with being out of control,
Right.
obviously. So, you have to grab the reins and not let the horse control where you're going before you run over somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful that we do feel completely out of control, and our brain is running us instead of us running our brain. That's
Yes,
very
that's what I took from it.
And the reins are your thoughts. So you got to rein in those thoughts. You got to keep, give it to the right, give it to the left. But you got to rein into those thoughts. And yeah, the brain is the horse, and it has a lot of power, guys. And if we
Yes.
can use it to what we want more of, that is where you have even more control. And not ego control. We're not talking ego control. We're just talking, inner consciousness, inner awareness. And you'll be inspired to breathe when when that moment hits, that then you're just gonna breathe, you're gonna laugh out loud, you're gonna, want to do some squats, you're gonna go for a walk, look at nature, right, left with your eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. And tapping works. Like, these are acupressure points. And so it's known in ancient medicine that they're very powerful for releasing. One of them is your liver point, and that is where we like to hold anger. And so, but then the point is, after you interrupt, to now is your opportunity to direct your brain to what you want to think about. And you're going to want to think about anger. So then keep interrupting. Just say, oh, there I go again. Right. So at first I was like interrupting it, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm right back. And then I'd interrupt. And so at first I just had to interrupt really fast. Like, just, oh, there I go again. Like, I'm catching it and interrupting, catching it and interrupting. And by the way, Robert, as a horse person and a horse trainer, I interrupt my horse when it starts acting like that. Literally, my horse is starting to get crazy or scared or something. I'm like, hey, I got to get its attention and get its brain back. So
I actually got that from a movie.
Yeah. And it's so true about horses. They they are a fear animal, and they're going to take off and they're going to injure someone in the way if you're not careful, because they're way too big for us, right? So you interrupt them to bring them back to their thinking brain. And that's just what we're doing. Interrupt, bring yourself back to the thinking brain.
We have 4 minutes. So why don't, in those 4 minutes, just do a round of tapping. So you guys out there, just mimic what Tammy's doing, breathe and redirect your brain. So if you want to do that, Tammy.
Yeah, this is great. So hopefully you have some peaceful places, and I want you to just think about that peaceful place when I tell you to. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to look up and smile, because if we're going to interrupt anger, smiling is a good option, right? And we're going to say we're releasing, eliminating, and letting go of all sadnesses, all fear, and all emotional trauma. Letting go of all abandonment, anger, resentment, and guilt. All that helplessness and hopelessness. All the rejection. All the states of no control and everything else. It's okay to let it go now. It's good. And I like to take a deep breath in and actually stretch. Just give my body a new sensation. Blow it all away. And then I anchor in. I hold my wrist and I direct my brain to think of something peaceful. And really experience that. Like my whale is coming up. I can smell her. I can hear her purr. She did a purr. I didn't even know whales did a purr, but she did it for me, and it was so special. And I can hear her hole opening and closing, and I can feel the sun. So get all those experiences and really anchor that feeling. And say peace. And I couldn't stay peaceful very long at first. So I'd go back and I'd be like, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Direct my brain to peace, right? It's my brain. I'm going to direct it. And when we anchor, we give our body an anchor by holding our wrist, or maybe you hold your ear, or maybe you put your hand on your chest, or I don't know, what's a nice manly thing to do? Something. And then feel peaceful. It's your opportunity.
Tammy, quick question, because I know it's closing up shop here. Are those exercises you still do? Just out of curiosity, are those exercises you still do? I mean, haven't you like wired your brain to move on from things without having to do these little exercises? You're not there yet, or?
Well, so for the most part, yes. Okay, but there's always going to be life happening. And so when life happens, do I sometimes want to go back to my old program? Oh yeah. You know, your brain wants to, it's just like the ocean pulling the water back, right? That's the old program. I've interrupted it. I've reset it. So most of the time I don't have to, but there are those moments that I definitely do. And there are moments I fail and I mess up, but that's my opportunity to say, oh, it's, wow, here's something going on that I can investigate. And what I will tell you is I used to be angry for years about certain situations. Like I just was really good at holding on to it. Now it can last 2 minutes or an hour, which is still a huge win compared to years. And some of the stuff that's happened to me this year with my dad and my stepmom and stuff, I would have held on to that forever. And I'm just so grateful to have this, to shorten the amount of time that it's impacting my life and my relationships, right?
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we'll never be perfect, but we can still be perfectly us. And always learning and always growing. There's just going to always be that opportunity to learn and grow. And that's, that's the good thing. We can add value to other people's lives because of what we've learned and where we are in our life because of it.
Okay.
Okay, folks, so this was the second day of anger management class. Faster EFT style. So your homework is to create resources. Find your resources. Find your peaceful inner peace place. Find the relaxing place. Find how you know you have peace. And then 5 ways to interrupt, defrag, or break patterns is do something physical. If you notice the sensation, notice the feeling, and then do some squats. Notice those feelings and those sensations. So you'll notice what bothers you, the anger, and then you turn around. Notice how you know it's anger, where in your body, and then you interrupt it with a fake laugh. Notice when you're doing the fake laughter, it can be quick, ha, 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 until you're like really laughing, or you can just start laughing out loud. And notice those sensations, and notice what's going on in your brain. You'll notice that things are breaking up. You can do box breathing. Notice that you're getting angry or frustrated, or you have an obsessive thought. There's a thought that you are obsessing, or you know you're going to obsess. Start box breathing. You know, you do counts. You can do counts of 5 when you're breathing in up to 5. Then you hold it for 5 seconds, and then you release it 5 seconds, and then you hold it for 5 seconds, and you keep doing that and see if you can do 5 until you get 10. Another way, pant like a dog. Panting like a dog changes, you know, the breath as well, and you're being funny and silly. And go to your peaceful places. That's another way to break patterns and defrag. And go to gratefulness, go to something that you're grateful for. Remember to use, find some songs that you'd like to listen, some sounds that you like to listen to. Go out for walks in nature, see the sunrise, see the sunset, smell those beautiful oils, the grass, fresh cut grass. Look at pictures that bring you joy, happiness, peace. So that is day 2's inner your peace program. So it was great being with you, and look forward to seeing you some more.